document on my computer.
Bienvenidos y bienvenidas, Quali Tonali. Welcome to PNA KXU, Poor People's Revolutionary Radio on 96.1 on the dial in East Oakland, Cochin Territory, and streaming live online at www.poormagazine.org/radio. This is Muteado Silencio con voces de migrantes en resistencia, in studio with fellow formerly houseless, poet, and poverty scholar, mi carnala La Tiny.
Yeah, this is PNN, not CNN, relatives. Thank you for tuning in on another day in the deep struggle in Black August, lifting up all of our revolutionary ancestors. And lifting up all the revolutionary poor, black, brown, houseless people in Black August that you don't hear about. The relative JT, a black elder, died on the streets of East 12th Street in the violence of sweeps, the violence of and death of Buddha, a black, beautiful relative from Wood Street Commons who died just trying to get warm. Our beautiful own Broken Cloud. 25 years, Afro-Indigenous relative died on this in homefulness, which he loved and he found. But his body had already been destroyed by 25 years on the street in this occupied land where it's illegal to be houseless every day. So lifting up all of those unknown warriors, unknown African and Black warriors in Black August, and all the warriors who we keep on keeping on and fighting and lifting up for. And thank you for tuning in, relatives. Oh, Mateo.
On today's podcast of Poor People's Radio, we speak with Imani Misha about the exoneration from the plantation prison system of Jalil Misha, wrongly convicted of 16 years young for a crime he didn't commit. Then we will speak with warrior poverty scholar from the Western Regional Advocates Project, Paul Bowden, about the upcoming event and release of their powerful research on the violent war on the poor. But first, we will hear Rufus radio reporters who are struggling with the violence of the light of rent and homelessness, who come to our humble Homefulness Hotel Fund and the Light of Rent Fund for support.
Denzel Johnson.
Hey, Denzel, can you tell us a little bit about your struggle, man? What you're going through right now?
Well, I'm homeless. I live in a van. I stay on 75th and off of 75th in MacArthur's. 76, the hood, 8 MacArthur, Machine Man. Oh, this is my first guy. Well, my mom, she would have been here, but she had to go. What she had to. But I'm from my mama. We came from San Francisco. I was born at Kaiser Hospital in downtown San Francisco. And I got hit by a car when I was 5. I had brain damage. But I have a little disability, and it takes me a little minute to catch on. I had special ed classes, but I'm here, and thank God. I had brain damage and all that. But basically, I'm 35, and hopefully, I can get the housing and stuff, so I can get the voucher, so I can really get in a spot for me and my mom. But I'm just stay prayed up, and hopefully everybody stay prayed up.
All right, brother.
I'm just successful in life.
Thank you, brother, for sharing your story. And again, we're asking if folks can help us with donation to help out our brother and her mom, at least get off the street for a week. All right, brother. Thanks so much, man.
Thank you.
We can show the next one too.
Powerful words, testimonies,
Right.
poverty scholars.
Right?
Struggling to survive. I'm surviving, we're trying to survive cancer, a rare cancer. I've been homeless. I was homeless before from 2022 up until 2024. I fast-tracked it by being very proactive. But during the time when I was homeless, I lived in my car. And I was in a lot of pain. I suffered a lot when I couldn't be diagnosed that I did have cancer until one time I had to go into the hospital, and then they had to do surgery on me and found the tumor. From that point on, from being unhoused, because I was unhoused, I was put into the system with a local agency. Why I'm here today is because I need help. During the process, I've been on disability, and my disability payments are delayed through my employer insurance. But I'm getting the help I need so that I could stay housed, and hopefully I can keep staying housed because I like looking at this from the ceiling of my car to the ceiling in my house. So I'm here today to ask for some help.
Well, thank you for sharing your story. And again, we appreciate people that could help us with any kind of donation. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Oh, Mateo. I just want to lift up, so people don't know, we do both the lie of rent fund. Why do we call it that? Because rent is a lie. It's based on the buying and selling, pimping and playing and profiting off of Mother Earth, which, as we know from all of our ancestors, from all four corners of Mother Earth, Mama Earth is not for sale. So yeah, we do call it the lie of rent fund because the reality is we live in a capitalist system. And if you don't have the rent, which is what happened to me and my ma, you get thrown out on the street. Whether you're a child, whether you're an elder, whether you have cancer, whether you are disabled, it doesn't matter because that's how violent capitalism is. And as you might have heard in many of my things that I teach and speak on podcasts from a poverty scholar, eviction is elder and child abuse. So we support folks to stay inside as well. And we only can do that because of all of y'all who kicked down for the community reparations, the recognition that we are related to each other as humans. And so if our relatives are outside, that means that we're in struggle rather than practicing what I call the violent act of looking away. So if you can kick anything down to lie of rent fund, we really appreciate it. Again, that's the QR code, and it is on, we can do Venmo or PayPal. In addition, the relative who started was from the Homefulness Hotel Fund, our beautiful brother Denzel. Homefulness Hotel Fund is not a solution at all. It's just that these settler governments have nothing for us. They don't even have hotel vouchers. So what did us poor and houseless people do at Homefulness? We started our own community voucher program, such as it is, and it's not even a program. It's just we raise resources through all the beautiful reparators like yourselves, maybe who can kick down a penny, a buck, $100, a G, whatever it is, so that we can get folks off the street. Because if you've ever been outside, being inside for 1 week is absolutely a break. For a hot shower, for being able to sleep in an actual bed and stretch your body out. And for the relative that Denzel, as someone who deals with a disability, he's also dealing with systemic racism, classism, and ableism. Shout out to our brother Leroy Moore and Kripok Nation, one of the co-founders of Homefulness, because we know ableism is another act of violence against poor and Black and brown and disabled bodies. It's very serious. And actually, most people on the street are gravely disabled. So let's not get it twisted. You might have your, tropes about those homeless people. Actually, the majority are elders and gravely disabled, and a rising majority are families like me and my mama. So anyway, I appreciate you. Anything you get down, it's all we have. And without our community, there is no unity. And let's all prove that we can actually take care of ourselves, take care of us. Having said that, I have the blessing of inviting in a beautiful warrior sister who is fighting for the exoneration from these plantation prison systems of a relative who has done many years inside of the plantation prison system for a crime they did not commit. And we have the blessing in Black August of bringing in this story that is not getting as much attention. We're not hearing about it. It's not necessarily as big news, but we need to make sure that it's big news because we know that that's injustice system is never there for us. And then we have to fight tooth and nail just to get a little crumb of justice. Welcome, Imani, to Poor People's Radio.
Good morning. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning. Good to see you, hon.
And I just love how you worded that, plantation prison. That is just the perfect sort of phrase for what's happening in today's society. And I just thank you all so much for having me. Again, my name is Imani Mashasha. I am the power of attorney and wife of Jalil Mashasha. And I want to start out by just emphasizing my appreciation to you guys for inviting me to speak on your platform and sort of share Jalil's story. He's never had a voice up to this point, up until now. So I really appreciate you all for that. The media has consistently slandered Jalil's name, has downright lied and fabricated complete stories about what happened and the underlying events of his case. So again, just thank you so much for the opportunity to be here today.
Thank you.
And so with that said,
Welcome.
And go ahead.
So with
tell
that,
listeners and viewers a little bit about the story of Jalil, if you can.
sure. So I'm going to start off as well, just saying that I'm not asking people to believe me simply because I'm his wife. I want everyone to just look at the facts for what they are, look at the circumstances surrounding his case, and ask yourself whether justice was truly served. And so I'll start out by just saying that Jalil is currently incarcerated in Colorado. He's serving a 30-year sentence. And then just sort of the underlying events of his case. So what happened was Jalil was sitting in the passenger seat of a car, and two other individuals were in the car as well. The driver and another individual was in the back seat. The individual who was driving previously bought some marijuana from a weed dealer, and the individual who was driving realizes that he was short on the amount of weed that he purchased. So he contacts the dealer, the guy he just bought it from, and asks it or find some sort of resolution, obviously. So they pull up to meet the weed dealer. Mind you, Jalil is completely clueless as to what's going on. He was not involved in this whatsoever. And like I said, he's in the passenger seat the entire time. So the individual driving gets out of the car to speak to the weed dealer and starts talking to him and whatnot. So then the weed dealer.
Uh-oh. Do we have a technical difficulty?
Just connection with her.
Okay.
Sure.
Hopefully she'll come back in.
Her video.
And also,
Can you share a little bit, a tiny about just more information about the brother? Do you know the details?
well, I want to make sure, I'm sure she's going to come back, but I will say that one of the things that she brought up that's really important for us to understand is that these kinds of cases, the first thing that corporate media does is they work hand in glove with the police and they create a narrative about our criminality.
Mm.
Right. And so when she talked about that, that's a very important piece of it because this young man was 16 years old. He was a child, right? And he wasn't, quote, a bad guy, whatever that means, whatever, the system wants to consider bad and good, which are binaries we know are rooted in racism and classism. But one of the things is that really he was just a young man, and he was in that car that she's going to be telling us more about, really in a lot of ways, by accident, right? And so when the cops came up, there was a framing that had basically occurred, and the immediate thing that happened after the aftermath was the framing was that this young man, being a Black young man, was automatically guilty without being proven. And so Jalil was actually in a position, because he was poor as well, to not really have, good attorney, public pretender, the whole nine. And so there was a whole lot of injustice that happened. And he's been serving this time. And we know how that happens too in the plantation prison system, right? Just eating up young people can know how to support. I'm really worried that she may not be able to get back in.
Right. It seems like something with her
It might have been, it might have been like pretty intense, and we don't know that. So,
And this happened in which city again?
this was that's what I need to know, honestly, because I don't know that. That's what's crazy. I don't think it was California, and I don't know where. And I'm actually, I wanted to lift up that they have a GoFundMe, because they are in fact very low income and they don't have money for a proper legal defense.
Colorado.
Yeah, it's in Colorado, which it's such a Klan town, right? We already know how many of our poor folks, and specifically Black and brown folks, end up getting victimized by the police there. But one of the things to just let folks know is to please follow this page, to please support this and this effort, because this is hella grassroots. I know that unfortunately a lot of our folks never get any attention inside. And I want to shout out again to Minister King. We're going to have Minister King on Poor People's Radio next week talking about their upcoming BlackAugust event. But there are so many relatives in these plantation prison systems that are not getting any attention. And so one of our things, because we're poor folks, is to lift up folks you don't know about, right? So please basically support and follow. What is this IG page called for those of you who are listening on audio?
It's IB Namir 26.
IB
Namir 26.
IB and Amir.
Yeah. So
20.
IBA.
IBA.
No, sorry. IBN.
IBN.
AMIR.
AMIR.
2626.
26.
Yeah.
That's the @ if you're on the Instagram, if the IG, the Insta scam, as I call it. So anyway, one of the important parts about that, the other thing it came up for me in this particular story was what the Republican governor just did yesterday, which is to change their mind. And I'm also not sure what state that was, but they changed their mind on the death penalty, which I thought was really crazy. And okay, that's great. But then they didn't commute the sentences of the people on death row.
Oh, she's back.
Oh, she's back. Okay, cool.
God, I minimized this screen. I apologize. I did not know I was talking to myself.
It's okay. You left us off at the weed dealer snafu.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So essentially what happened was, I'll go back in a little bit. So the drug dealer reached in his waistband for a firearm. He attempts to shoot the buyer, and the buyer who was driving the car, he reaches for a gun and he shoots the guy in self-defense, clearly out of fear for his life. Again, he's 16. And at this point, Jalil is in the car wondering what's going on, what happened. I have no idea what's going on right now. And so essentially the driver and the individual who are in the back seat, they go back into the car and they leave. And you have to think about what you would have done in this situation at 16. And it's just a really hard situation. But, after the shooting, they were all obviously freaking out. But at the end of the day, this is an obvious case of self-defense. And so with that said, one of my biggest concerns is the way that Black men, in this case, Black boys, can be perceived when they defend themselves. Too often, instead of asking what happened to them and whether they had a legitimate reason to protect themselves.
Oh no,
Uh-oh.
poor Imani. We've got the Wi-Fi nightmare here.
Right.
Ooh. We might need to ask her to come back next week. Because I'm thinking maybe if she can get on a better signal, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if she comes back. Relatives, don't give up yet. We might
She got disconnected.
have to. Is Paul already in?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to our next guest, and we're gonna just, if you could I'll let Imani know that we're gonna bring her back because we need to do we need to do this right, okay, family? Because this story needs to be told,
Yes.
right? Especially in BlackAugust and lifting up all of the relatives behind these plantation walls. Which, gets us to our next guest. Like in one of my poems, I talk about it's a prison outside when you're houseless. And there's so many ways in which this system criminalizes our bodies for the sole act of living without a roof, of living without the lie of rent, of not being a part of this capitalist violent system that is rooted in how much bloodstained dollars you have. And so, as poverty scholars and revolutionaries here at Poor Magazine, we're constantly resisting that system, and we have the blessing of having some badass comrades. And shout out also to all of our relatives from Poor People's Army, in occupied Lenape territory,
Yes.
To Sacramento Homeless Union, to Wood Street Commons, to Etna Street Solidarity, all of our family who are resisting these capitalist lies of what it means to be Poe and what it means to be outside in the stolen land. But having said that, one of our warrior comrades is from a movement, a poverty scholar, and from a movement called Western Regional Advocacy Project, where they actually do what we call it research, and that's poor people-led research.
Imani's
Yeah.
Imani's back.
Yeah, so just if you can hear me, Imani, we have to bring you back next week because we ran out of time. But I'm going to hit you up separately so that we can get you on a better,
do a full interview.
a proper interview. It goes all the way through. It's just that unfortunately the time is run out. We have to go to our next guest. So wait, please, I will text you separately and we will make this happen, okay? We love you so much. And we want to make sure again that people support the GoFundMe and tune in next Tuesday when we do a proper interview with Sister Imani and bring up the story of Jaleel Mashisha, who needs to be free, needs to be exonerated from that plantation. But anyway, sorry, I'm doing all over the place. Stay with us, family. So, all that to say, Western Regional Advocacy Project has a powerful release of information and teaching that they're about to launch this coming Saturday. And none other than the warrior comrade, Paul Bowden, poverty scholar, is here to talk about what's up. Go ahead. Hey, Paul.
Hey, good morning. I would be more than happy to wait so that the Imani can finish and come back if you want.
Well, the only problem for us is we have to be done at 8:15.
Okay.
It's unfortunately the time clock is our struggle over here. But that's why I want to do it when we can guarantee a good Wi-Fi with Imani so that we can stay on and do it right.
Right, do a full interview.
So go ahead, Paul. Tell us what's up.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. So Paul Bowden, Western Regional Advocacy Project. Been at this for 43 years now or some such stuff. But, a big part of doing the organizing work from the time I was in my early 20s, starting out off the streets, is like somehow we're never the freaking experts in the issues that impact our lives.
Right.
And then you see all these white ass dweeby people getting up there talking all these stats and shit. And you're talking reality. And they're saying, well, they claim this is happening, but the experts say this is happening. And I always found it incredibly, it's also part of the poverty industrial complex. The experts all seem to be making big freaking bucks while we're scraping and helping each other out with food. And I feel like it's why this shit has been going on for so long. This is part of a colonizing system. It's part of neoliberalism. It's part of fascism. And when we see what's happening now, as we were watching the big fascist bill going through, it was like, wait, we've been here before, man. This isn't a new game in town. It's a new face and a new name, but the game has been getting played out since we first came over and colonized this country. So being from the streets, we looked from the Reagan era when we first started opening shelters again. And we were very good at getting law schools, especially UC Berkeley, to do research with us. And there is a reality when it's the documentation's coming from UC Berkeley Law Policy Advocacy Clinic. They can say whatever they want. This is academic shit. And we, of course, infuse it with our language and our realities. We drive the research process, but we use them to augment the research that we're able to do with the limited resources that we got. And Seattle University and Berkeley both did a joint project of the two schools working together to work with the RAP members to drive the research that we did. So we looked at the Reagan Revolution, as they called it. We looked at Hope 6. We looked at welfare reform. We looked at the Hearth Bill. We looked at TARP. And you could see this trend of documenting us and tracking us. You could see this trend of, like basically the federal government said in the 1980s, we're going full-blown neoliberal. We tested it out in South America and Central America. We're bringing back the United Fruit Company and we're calling it the United States of America. And when you look at how the ICE dudes are walking around heavily, that's a military force. Right. Homeland Security is a military force. And they work strictly for Donald Trump right now. Whoever the president happens to be is who they'll work for. Right now, it's Donald Trump. When they said they were going to stop doing the traffic stops, Trump said, no, you're not. Do them and do more of them. And they did. So it tells you this is the brown shirts of the Hitler. This is the black shirts of Mussolini. And now we call them ICE and Homeland Security. And it just seemed imperative to us that to really organize and plan our strategy, we have to, one, look at all the communities that are getting screwed over, whether they be immigrant communities, families that used to get AFDC that now get limited TANF with all these restrictions. 4 million people have already lost their food stamps.
Yep.
US aid has killed over 1 million people across the world. Like, this is all of us. And we felt that there was an opportunity for us not to just say that stuff, not to just woof, but to say, it is all of us. And here's some documentation that shows those connections and shows that they don't care whether we're homeless or whether we're black or whether we're brown or whether we're poor. They care that we're here to make money for them.
Right.
And so long as the United Way is making all that bang and Salvation Army is making all that bang, we're not going to end poverty. We're going to have poverty programs.
Right.
Because people are getting funded to run them.
Yeah.
So long as the cops are making, and private prisons, and the private security that's out in our streets with the white jackets and the black jackets.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, we need to understand there's a place this is coming from. This is not reactionary to what is happening in the streets. This is planned, deliberate, malicious, and they know it's killing people.
Yeah.
They know when they cut people off of Medicaid, those people are going to die.
Yeah.
Without health care, you're going to die.
Yeah.
They know that when you take away babies' food, babies suffer. They're not stupid. They're diabolical.
Yeah.
And so, like, the fact that it's so deliberate, the fact that it's from administration to administration, we're not going to elect the great white savior. Bullshit. You know, this Clinton, Obama, they both were part of this dismantling of a social safety net. And when government sees that it doesn't want, could care less about actually using tax dollars to fund healthcare and housing and education and public parks, you know, when they have made that determination, we have to fight it from a cross sector of communities. And so we're doing the teaching from all of this. You know, the report came out and it was like 108 groups and the organizing groups and the, you know, all the groups that they work with, the immigrant rights groups that they work with locally. And it's like, create tools that speak to all of us. Don't just speak to one segment of your community, speak to the whole community, because as this research so clearly shows, it's all of us that have experienced poverty or living in poverty, you know, that are the target of neoliberal fascist policing, neoliberal fascist welfare systems, and the profitizing of a neoliberal government.
Ashe. Well, not Ashe, but you're right. I just want to say that you just threw a whole bunch of acronyms out there, which I unfortunately know a lot of them. But for listeners, but for listeners who don't, and Tibu, it says my mic is muted, so I'm not sure why. But anyway, can you go back a step and unpack what HARP is?
Yeah, HARP.
We just have to say we know what No Hope 6 is, which if folks don't know, that was the gentrification plan of HUD, along with RAD and all their other mess. But what's HARP? Tell listeners. And
HARP went along with the Troubled Assets Relief Program. It was around that same time. And it was a very time limited, actually take some of the money that didn't go, like 85% of the troubled asset money went not to homeowners, it went to mortgage companies and banks. So they were kicking out all this money. So they had to have the pretense of at least having a housing component for the people that had lost their homes. And they did a very short time limited, it was 3 years of actually funding people's ability to get back into housing that had lost their homes under the mortgage crisis. And yeah, it worked, but it was 3 years. And then it's like, okay, that's up. Now with the other dudes, the stuff just kept right on going.
Right.
You know, but it's part of this, like they still have some sort of food stamp program. They call it SNAP, but they have all of this stuff attached to it to make it almost inaccessible and to be able to kick people off at a time limited capacity. Right. So it was part of that during that era of the mortgage crisis. Oh no, we still care about those people, but we just don't care a whole hell of a lot.
Wow. I just have to bring this back for folks who are listening and watching. This is very specific. But shout out to our sister, co-founder of Homefulness, Auntie Frances Moore, and the Self-Help Hugger Program, which is right in the middle of so-called North Oakland, occupied Ochun. It is constantly, it's so-called public land. It's constantly harassed by all the gentrifier neighbors. The politicsters always trying to shut it down. Their newest one is to come at them with wait for it, a gate around Black elders who are, because we're always considered too loud, right, when we poe. I'm not even playing. That's where we're at. But that's just the end of a long trajectory. The reason I bring this up when we talked about this HARP thing is that the majority of the houseless elders in North Oakland had homes and lost them in that so-called mortgage crisis. Sam Drew Eli Baba, one of our houseless elder poverty scholars and writers. His auntie lost his house. He ended up on the street. Broken Cloud's family. So many more. So let's not get it twisted. This is not some otherworldly, oh, it's over there, oh, it's not. No, this actually impacts the majority of a lot of elders that you see on the street. Mo, did you want to ask anything?
Well, no, just thank you, Paul, again. For making those connections that this system, right? As sometimes we kind of separate ourselves in ethnicity, in different organizations that do organizing, right? Some people just do police brutality. Some people, directly with homelessness. Yet when the system see all of us, they see us all as the same, to be incarcerated, like you just said, to be starved. You speak about that, the importance about bringing all of these movements unite, in a real way to create change.
As somebody that came from the street fighting stuff in the TL, like I have to respond to what's in my face. The cops are doing a sweep, no matter what I'm doing at the Homeless Coalition. We cut out and we went to the sweep, right? So you can understand where people have that visceral response to be focused on their community. What it takes, I believe, because we've had so many meetings about it and so many discussions about how are we going to broaden this out, right? Like what it takes is creating the messaging that unites us, creating the artwork that brings us together, the music that brings us together, and the research that validates that togetherness. Like, and then we can start branching out. And also, like on Saturday night, we're having a cultural night party. You guys are kicking it off, or you guys are definitely in
Poet's in the house.
Yes,
Yeah.
we'll be there.
And we've got Nami and Sharif and others that are coming and doing their stuff from different organizations and different organizing campaigns. And we're all using that kind of culture, entertainment, and message and beauty to uplift our connectedness. Mm-hmm. And because I think sometimes when you're overwhelmed and you're draining the swamp and the alligators are biting your ass, you forget that you were there to drain the swamp, right? That old analogy is like we all recognize the need to unite our forces. Now we can start playing with ways that do it, that work for different organizations. And messaging that unites our organizations, and we caught ourselves even in this research project where that was one of the goals, talking about, homelessness, because that's shit, since I was 16, but I'm not gonna walk away from that, but I am gonna show how it's connected to food stamps and Medicaid and AFDs, well, TANF now, temporary aid for needy families. Isn't that such a sick freaking name? That's pretty much tells you you're temporary, dude. Like we don't care if you can eat for the long haul. And so like it's just, and we have to all keep trying it in our own ways, but we have to really understand the power of culture, and the power of performance. And the power of the joy and the fun that comes from it. So you can be getting your ass kicked, but you can still have a party.
Yes.
That's always been a thing for us, is like we can fight like hell and we can party like hell. And we're pretty damn good at both of those things. And cultural events is a way of fighting back as much as it is a way of uplifting spirit. Teachings is a way to say, oh, damn, like I've been doing this for a long time. I thought I knew a lot. I fought Hope 6 till I puked, same with Hearth, the homeless reorganization, where they redefined a family's homelessness status. So if they were doubled up or even left town to get a couch at to get a bed to sleep in at a cousin's house, they were kicked off the waiting list for emergency shelter. I mean, it's so sick that emergency shelters even have a waiting list. It kind of defeats the whole purpose. But then the fact that Oh, you left town for a day? Well, you're off the list. You go
Wow.
to the end of the list.
Yeah, exactly.
Or these housing choice vouchers. 70% of the people we interviewed interviewed in Denver couldn't use the voucher. But they can say, well, we gave them a voucher. They screwed up. They didn't find a landlord.
Wow.
Like we have to understand these systems. It isn't just that, we didn't realize that there's racist landlords in America and you couldn't rent a house with this punk ass voucher we gave you. They knew damn well that was the end result.
Yeah.
And Clinton really pushed it during Hope 6 because it cut back on the federal expense of funding housing.
Exactly. Paul, because we're running out of time, and I don't know, I feel like we could talk all day, and it would not be.
We have talked all day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And years and days and all of those things. Now, I just want to leave folks with just one thing, though, because I think what's really important and sad about what is actually sad about the knowledge, the powerful knowledge that we need to always learn, and that you guys have worked on so hard that you'll be releasing on Saturday. But one of the hardest ones is that again, I know folks on this channel knows because you hear me yelling about it all the time, but under these politics mayors, it's just a constant onslaught of these violent sweeps and this violent criminalization. From the new laws in so-called Louisiana that basically make it illegal to be walking while houseless, to Fresno, to right there in occupied Yalamu, Frisco, or don't even look houseless, God forbid, to right over here in Uchun under the so-called conscious mayor, where supposedly sweeps are going to be slowed down. But shout out to Sweeps Defense and our relatives on the street every day. They are still 5 and 6 times a day.
Yeah.
Just wondered if you had any thoughts on
And
this.
can I also, I realized I forgot to say where our events are on Saturday.
Oh yeah,
where is that happening?
You have to do a shout out, but before you do that, any thoughts on the, I'm going to have you do that again. It's in Frisco, but go ahead.
It's at 518 Valencia, the Eric Casada Center. The teach-in is at 2:00 and the doors open at 6. The party starts at 7. And please do come by.
Definitely. But just any thoughts on the politics that we're dealing with right now?
Well, I mean, you could see it. It's been about the last 7 years, I say, but really bad the last year and a half. The executive order from Trump didn't help any in turn. I mean, and wasn't that ironic how Newsom's executive order from the state around we need to criminalize more or we're going to pull your state funding almost mirrored Trump's executive order from the federal level that you need to criminalize more people and lock up more mentally ill people or we're going to pull your federal funding. They don't have any intention of restoring the 500,000 units of public housing they've destroyed or of refunding healthcare for, so this is the tool. And if you're a fascist dictator, like we're seeing, use your military. You don't need cops anymore. You put the military forces out in the street. When you look at the South and Central American countries that suffered under the United Fruit Company, they didn't have little lollygagging local police departments. They had military in their streets.
Right.
And when you look at ICE and when you look at what Homeland Security is doing and bringing in the National Guard, it's like, how can you not make those connections?
Yeah.
And if they know that they have no intention of funding food stamps or Medicaid or education or housing or healthcare for poor people, then I know what we can do.
Yeah.
And we like funding this system because of all the profiteering that goes on in creating those uniforms and running those detention centers. And there's a lot of money to be made off of brutalizing and oppressing poor people and people.
Wow.
And so it's a very, when you step back in a really evil way and look at it, Yeah, that makes sense. That's where the money's at.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
Just like the money's in the military, it's not in the healthcare. The
Yeah.
money's in the policing and in the militarized policing and detention of people. You know, it's not in public parks that aren't profitizing anything.
Right.
Well, thank you, Paul, and for this, endlessly sad news that we always talk about, and yet at the same time, like you said, and like we all have to remember, our resistance is in our art, it's in our voices, it's in our actions, it's in our liberation. So please
In our
come
radio
out
shows.
and our radio
Yes.
shows. So please come out on Saturday, August
Saturday.
15th to 518 Valencia, the Eric Casada Center, and Ibai Baba to Eric Casada's Revolutionary Spirit, always. We miss you, brother. But come out on Saturday, August 15th, 2 o'clock, to hear some more really sad and messed up news that is also embedded in liberatory acts that you can take part in right now. And then stay for the 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock doors open for a party where the Poets Project and so many more relatives will be speaking and spitting some palabra. We'll be there. We expect you to too. And go to
Raphome.org is the website if you need more information.
RAP, WRAP.
RAP home.org. There we go.
There you go. All right, Paul, we love you
Right on,
always.
Paul.
Yeah,
We'll
love
see
you guys.
Saturday.
We'll see
Okay.
you Saturday.
All right,
Bye.
family. Bye-bye. You're listening and watching Poor People's Radio. That's PNN, not CNN, people. And speaking of this weekend, and I don't know why, T-Bo, it still says my mic is muted.
It's okay. It's
Just doesn't matter. Okay.
we
anyway.
can still hear you.
I'm sure you can, because I will yell. Okay. You already know. We loud. That's why they have come with us for a gate. We speak of the devil, speak of the gate devils.
Mm.
Come out on Saturday to hear the
Yes.
power and the liberation, right, at 518 Valencia. But on Sunday, this coming Sunday, and I just put a link in
Yeah,
the
I got
thing,
it. I got it. Yeah.
we need to support our beautiful sister, Auntie Frances.
Yes.
You need to come out to on August 16th to the 8th annual Every Day is Black History Month. I'm not even playing, fam. Show up, because the settler colonial government is constantly coming for this small, beautiful, humble pocket park. And we don't have more time for more of our community spaces to be shut down, criminalized, and silenced. So show up. It's at 61st and Adeline this coming Sunday, August 16th. It all goes off at 1 o'clock, and it'll be beautiful. There'll be a lot of speakers and powerful warriors, and Poor Magazine, Poor Press will have a book table. So if there's those books you wanted to get, come on and get them. There's going to be a lot of other resources, and of course, some really beautiful food. But most of all, put your body on the line, because we need to support a poor Black elder-led liberation movement that is unselling Mama Earth right there on settler colonial so-called public park that isn't public. It's only public for some people. We know how that ish goes. So that said, we appreciate you and we love you, and we'll see you on Saturday and Sunday.
Yes, and again, thank you to my nephew Tiburcio Garcia on ones and twos. So that's all for this edition of Poor People's Radio. To get a complete podcast, you can go to Poor Magazine or SoundCloud or poormagazine.org or wherever you get your podcast from. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, X, Blue Sky, at Poor Magazine, at Poverty Scholar, or to get out the complete video podcast, subscribe to us on YouTube, the Poor News Network channel on YouTube. All power to the people.
Power.